Okay, so today we're going to go back into the book of Jacob, the letter of Jacob, a.k.a. James. And we're in chapter 2. We completed chapter 1 in our previous 7 videos. Now we're on chapter 2, verse 1. I'm not going to be comparing to the King James anymore. We're going to only look at the Common English translation of the rooted word. So let's go ahead and read. You can find it on the website at therootedword.com. You can see here. Let me share this so you can see that. And that is on there. Okay. So you can see, get that straight. Okay. So on the website here, you can see therootedword.com. You go to, just hover your cursor over TRW Bible, hover it over New Testament, Jacob, and click on Common English Translation. It'll pull up this PDF. You can download it if you want right here. You can print it if you like. And you can read along either here or on the internet. My brothers, you must stop holding to the persuasion of the Lord Jesus Christ of glory, and at the same time, this persuasion by appearances, mannerisms, and self-presentations. You can be sure of this. If a man might have come into your gathering wearing a gold ring on his finger, the wide open channel through the storm that you might grasp, and in brilliant clothing, and as well another one who has been through a fall in life and terrifies to the point of fleeing, and he came in with dirty clothing, you might have thrown your own secret hopes onto the one in brilliant clothing and explained carefully to him, you sit still so beautifully according to your appearance here. But to the one who had gone through some fall and terrifies to the point of wanting to flee, you might have carefully explained to him, you stand there or sit still according to your appearance under that thing which is under my foot. Have you not thoroughly depended on your own governance among yourselves? You have become judges, discriminating by taking a thorough inventory of others in their pain from the daily struggle for survival. I'm going to continue reading to the end of our section. Verse 5, listen, my beloved brothers, God himself has laid forth from the whole mass of individuals in the world those who from a fall terrify to the point of wanting to fly away. Do you not know this? They are fulfilled in persuasion, and they are broken parcels, an inheritance from the place stepped upon. And do you not know that he has laid a leading on those who are actively loving him? You, however, have devalued the one who terrifies to the point of wanting to flee. Is it not true that those who have all they want in this world are the ones opposing you with their power and cornering you into a place to be judged and into court? Do you not recognize them as the ones spreading their opinions for this reason, to prevent the success of that name that is so excellent and useful, the name spoken aloud over you for his purposes? Even so, if you keep the royal law, love your neighbor as yourself, you are doing well. However, if you are persuaded by appearances, mannerisms, and self-presentations, you are putting your energy against yourself and causing your own loss of your portion. Because you are one who is rebuked by your own fault and to your own shame, and this is by the law itself which stands against your walking away. For anyone who carefully observes the whole law, but then stumbles in one of them, he is held in guilt against them all. He who was laying forth the command, you will not commit adultery, also laid forth the command, you will not murder. Therefore, if you will not commit adultery, but you will murder, you have become one of those walking away from the law. Speak and do things in the way that you should through the law of freedom, as a person very close to being examined for judgment. A merciless examination for judgment is made for the one who has not made mercy for others. Mercy brags from a higher position over the examination for judgment. That's our passage from verse 1 through 13. Now let's go ahead and look at it in detail. I admit that this is difficult, and you can kind of boil it down if you want, but then you lose all the details and you don't get the truth out of it. So let's look at the beginning. My brothers, you must stop holding to the persuasion of the Lord Jesus Christ of glory, and at the same time, this persuasion by appearances, mannerisms, and self-presentations. So, what is he saying? He says, you cannot simultaneously hold the faith of Jesus Christ, the persuasion of Jesus Christ, who is of glory, and at the same time, this persuasion by the appearances of men, the mannerisms of men, the self-presentations that they prepare for you to try to persuade you in lies and deceit. You can't hold both of those kind of persuasions at the same time, having faith in that and faith in that. You see someone, you say, I know he's a good guy. I can tell. I can just tell it. That's what they say, because they don't want to say, because I can see on his face he's got a good face, because then you can say, well, faces don't matter. But if they say, well, I can tell it, it's something invisible, intangible, and unjudgeable. That's why people nowadays say that. They try to avoid this issue of you cannot be a Christian and also be judging people by the way they come across to you, by the way that you sense them from the way they present themselves. There are all kinds of ways that men manipulate you through the way that they present themselves. Even pastors, they manipulate you. Just watch them. Listen and watch. There are all kinds of ways. There's one man that we've been doing some videos on. These are reaction videos. He's now arisen. At first he was just a so-called teacher or pastor, actually. Now he's calling himself a prophet. And he is absolutely 100% false prophet. But he is so conceited at this point that there is no one who can tell him otherwise. So, in the way that he speaks, he's got all kinds of mannerisms where he manipulates people. And you can find that video where I do a reaction to him, the first reaction video of him, on the channel here. Just type in the search, there's a little search magnifying glass up there at the menu. Just click that and type in Marcus, M-A-R-C-U-S. Okay, and you'll find the video on him. And that's a great video to look at for this issue, because there are many people who are following him and defending him because of the way he presents himself. Because absolutely the content of what he's saying is in grave error. Grave error. And you'll find that in the video. You cannot be persuaded by the glory of Jesus Christ and also the glory of men. Absolutely cannot. Now, how else can we apply this? Well, we can apply this to sports. When you take a side in sports and you elevate it and it affects your relationships or your work or the way that you manage your home, you've violated this. Jacob 2:1. When you exalt some sort of performer, whether a singer or actor or actress or whatever, and you lust after them, you're not only lusting, you're also breaking Jacob 2:1. We cannot put the glory of man above the glory of Jesus Christ. So you see this done all the time about this persuasion by visages. That's literally what the word is, where we say appearances, mannerisms, and self-presentations. It's a difficult word to translate into English, and even visages doesn't quite cover it. It's prosopon. So in front of the face of, right? Like how you, like that, in front of people. And we do this all the time, and you see it everywhere in the churches. The so-called churches where they'll appoint some pastor, and it's clear that they're appointing him based on his presentation of himself and his visage. In fact, they have very strict ways of measuring the presentations of pastors to evaluate them for a position. And that goes directly against Jacob 2:1. And it has to be at all levels. It can't just be at the personal level. It has to be at the organizational level as well. So now let's go ahead a little further. You can be sure of this, verse 2. If a man might have come into your gathering, wearing a gold ring on his finger, so in those times, having a gold ring was quite something, right, for someone to have a gold ring. And the wide open channel through the storm that you might grasp. This is drawn from the root of the word, right? That gold was seen as some sort of hope to get through some storm in life. And so you see someone wearing it, you're hoping you can grasp it. It's kind of like from Lord of the Rings, if you want to talk about it that way. But that's how they saw gold. And so when someone walked in with gold on their hand, well, they looked at that as, oh, I got to become friends with him because I might need his help sometime because he's got money. We do that today. And we treat people who appear to have money differently than those who appear to not have money. And that's the point of this passage. But it's even more than that. And we'll see that in just a minute here. And in brilliant clothing. So the clothing is amazing, all right? And as well, another one who has been through a fall in life and terrifies to the point of fleeing. Now, I have been to many different churches, all right, throughout my decades as a Christian. And the churches that the people dress like the snazziest, I mean, like everyone dresses to the teeth. 2 churches. One, black American churches, where it's almost exclusively black. You'll see 1 or 2 white people there, but it's a black church. And, I mean, they really dress to the T. The other one is, that's not bad. I'm just saying that's what it is. Also in Ukraine. The Ukrainian churches, when they go to church, they really dress up. They dress up. I mean, you won't find people in shorts and T-shirts in the church. They'll kick them out. They won't even let them in. You know, and if you go in showing cleavage, oh, no way. Absolutely not. You will not be let in the church and you'll be reprimanded. So, I mean, you got to come dressed really, really sharply. So in this case, in the passage, it says, all right, here's this person with gold on their finger and brilliant clothing. And Jacob's not criticizing that. He's not criticizing the person who comes in with brilliant clothing and gold on their finger. He's criticizing the Christian who treats them differently than other people. It says, and as well, another one who has been through a fall in life. Has been through a fall in life. Can be any kind of fall. It's a kind of fall that, though, is so dramatic that it terrifies to the point of fleeing. It may terrify the one who went through the fall to the point of fleeing away from other people. Or it could be terrifying the ones who see him to the point of wanting to flee and walk the other way and not talk to them. Could be someone who's in a wheelchair who's been in a car accident. I had a friend, and we used to sit together in church all the time. And people who didn't know him were afraid to talk with him. They were afraid, first off, because of the disfigurement of his face, but then also because they were afraid they might not be able to understand him when he spoke. They were just terrified of it. And you'll see that when people interact with Down syndrome or other problems in people. But this could also be a homeless person. Could be someone who has lost their job, their family, their house, everything. And they're on the street. And they're not very clean, not as clean as everyone else because they don't have access to a shower, for example. But they want to be there at church. They're a believer. So it could be any of those or even more. They've been through a fall in life and that terrifies to the point of fleeing. And he came in with dirty clothing. So here it says he's dirty. The other one has brilliant clothing. This one has dirty clothing. You might have thrown your own secret hopes onto the one in brilliant clothing and explained carefully to him. So you have secret hopes you're throwing onto him. It's exactly like that image about gold. And you're throwing those secret hopes onto him, right? So it says, and explained carefully to him, you sit still so beautifully according to your appearance here. Flattery. Flattering him and treating him special because of his appearance. You sit still so beautifully according to your appearance here. But to the one who had gone through some fall and terrifies to the point of wanting to flee, you might have carefully explained to him, obviously in a different tone, you stand here or sit still according to your appearance under the thing which is under my foot, like a footstool. Like what? You're sitting under a footstool? You put them under your feet? The feet's the dirtiest part of the body, especially back then, because they walked around in sandals and it was exposed to dirt and all kinds of stuff. And you're having this poor person, granted he has dirty clothing already, but you want to humiliate him even more by putting him under your feet or making him stand while everyone else sits? You see the problem. Have you not thoroughly depended on your own governance among yourselves? Contrasting with governance from God, which was in chapter 1, if you go back and watch the videos. You become judges discriminating by taking a thorough inventory of others in their pain from the daily struggle for survival. It's a long, complicated sentence. You have become judges discriminating. Discriminating what? By taking a thorough inventory, looking very, very, very carefully to others while they are in the pain of daily struggle for survival. You look very meticulously at how they're dressed and how they present themselves. And you scrutinize them when they are in the middle of the pain of a daily struggle for survival. And you're sitting there doing that to them. That's what's being criticized. Verse 5. And you need to think about it. You need to think, am I doing that with someone? We do it in other ways that we don't even realize. And the day that I realized this, I was in shock. Sometimes we'll meet someone who reminds us of someone else. And that someone else we had some sort of problem with. Maybe they mistreated us very badly. So we meet this new person who reminds us of the old person, and we treat the new person like that old person's part of their history, or somehow related, and it's not. But we'll treat him that way, and we even do this subconsciously. When I caught myself doing that, I was in shock. I had to check myself. And from then on, I try to recognize when someone reminds me of someone else, and I also watch very carefully how I'm treating them. And some, it is almost impossible to treat it differently. And so I try not to interact with the person then if I can't treat them fairly. So these things we already know from our upbringing. If you've been brought up in Western society, of course, you know these things. These things are drilled into us, especially through the entertainment industry. But this goes about it in a way where you can't escape from it. And it makes you look at yourself in the mirror. And if you're not looking at yourself in the mirror, you didn't hear what was said. Because even I'm looking at myself in the mirror right now at this moment. So take the time, take these words. It's only 4 verses so far. We're going to end the video here, but take these 4 verses. I want you to go through it again in the Rooted Word, Common English Translation. Go through it again carefully, carefully. Look at your life. Think about how you're treating people. Think about the different appearances of these people and whether you're treating them based on their appearance in some way. Like maybe you're treating some girl better than a guy because she's a pretty girl. You need to be careful of these things. We cannot be holding the persuasion of the glory of Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, the Lord of glory, and at the same time be doing that. It cannot be. It cannot be. You have to stop it. So you have to look carefully and stop it. It's very important. May the Lord bless you as you seek Him with all your heart. Remember to subscribe down below and like the video and share it on your Facebook and other social media. And then make a comment, whether a question or a comment. We read all of them and we try to respond to all. Get on over to our website, The Rooted Word, and start reading the translation and also the articles we've posted. It's at therootedword.com, therootedword.com. And may the Lord bless you as you seek Him with all your heart.